Hello, my name is Harlan Mims, and I'm going to talk about the accidents in engineering from an interdisciplinary standpoint. But before I do so, I shall explain what interdisciplinarians are and the concepts that they take in order to solve a problem. Interdisciplinarians are constantly challenged to create something new and unique from multiple perspectives. And according to Newell from 1999, he describes interdisciplinary study as providing one form of integrative learning limited to drawing from academic disciplines. So in other words, you're taking many or multiple disciplines in order to solve a problem. You can't just have one discipline to solve a complex problem as interdisciplinary students do. So you need multiple disciplines and you need the problem to be complex in order for it to be interdisciplinary. Repco does a very great job as far as conducting, giving you research methods in order to do this. His first process is to define the problem or state the research question. Then you justify using an interdisciplinary approach. You identify relevant disciplines. You conduct a literature search. You develop adequacy in each relevant discipline. You analyze the problem and evaluate each insight or theory. You identify conflicts between insights or theories and their sources. You create a common ground between concepts and theories. You construct a more comprehensive understanding. And last but not least, you reflect on, test, and communicate the understanding. This is a process that helps you able to solve the interdisciplinary problem. You state the question, you pose the question, then you go to the different methods in order to solve the problem. And like I said, the problem or the interdisciplinary problem that I had or question that I posed was accidents in engineering. Now to some people this may seem simplistic in a sense because it's just engineering and it's just accidents. But history shows that over time we really haven't seen a decrease in the amount of accidents in engineering. And so the question now is why? Why hasn't this been limited throughout the years? And so I thought with me being an engineering major for the majority, I'm going for construction engineering management. And so I figured since this is the degree that I'm getting into, why not talk about it and kind of break down the process on how we can actually limit this. And so in order to do this, I use 3 disciplines, engineering being the first and foremost for my foundation of the problem. Then I use communication as well as sociology to help assist on breaking down why this is an important topic. Engineering first and foremost, there's many fields of engineering. In order to be an engineer, you have to constantly think and be creative in order to solve any kind of problem, whether it's civil work, planes, mechanical, electrical. I mean, there's many forms of engineering, but there's always accidents in these fields. These accidents at times can lead to near death or actual death, which is the extreme case of it. But you know, engineering, there's so many forms of engineering, but there's so many accidents. At the same time. Communication I use because in order to limit the accidents, you need to understand, you know, what your supervisor or just being able to communicate within this field. I know that engineering today is growing, and what I mean is globally. So you may not even be communicating with somebody from your language, so you need to understand the person, what they're telling you, not only understand them, but understand the instructions and the directions that they're giving you in order to perform a task. And so to me, communication is probably the biggest thing outside of the question itself, because without communication or with a lack of communication, that kind of causes a lot of accidents within this field. And then also sociology. Some people might wonder, you know, what does sociology have to do with this? Sociology is a broad thing to me. I studied sociology in high school, and I took it a little bit in college. But sociology kind of breaks down the mental process behind a person and what goes on internally, or I mean, as far as an individual, and then you can study people in certain groups. But from individual standpoint, understanding the mindset of someone who's going through the process and what can they do in order to communicate better, in order to listen better, in order to perform better. I mean, there's a lot of research during sociology in order to break down this process. And so combining these three disciplines, I was able to conduct research on each and every one of the disciplines, using it in my paper and applying it to the question. Now, from the back to the engineering standpoint, I have certain examples in my paper that proves that the numbers are decreasing here and there, but they aren't decreasing as you would think they would due to the technology. You would think that over time, as we get smarter with our technology, that we'll be able to limit a process like this, but this isn't the case. I have a study that shows that all across the world, even though we're using different structures, many people from you got China, Australia, South America, North America, obviously Canada, like it doesn't matter what region, we may be using different processes as far as how we're going to build any kind of structure or any kind of technology, or just being innovative, building something in general, that there's still a lot of accidents, and that it shows that, the number one cause of accidents is falls. If you don't know or understand the engineering, as you can see, you can look out at any kind of tower or anything, any kind of building, something that you see tall and magnificent. You may wonder, wow, you're pretty sure you think it's amazing right then and there, but you don't understand the process that goes behind it. There's a lot of accidents during that time. For safety issues, as a OSHA certified person, I know that a lot of people during that time, as far as being 80 feet in the air, 80 plus feet in the air, they don't really follow procedures in order to be that high, meaning that you need your safety harness, you need your hard hat, you need the zip line. You have to take certain precautions when you're that high in the air. You can't really take that as a joke, because you could potentially lose your life if you're not cautious with it. So taking that into consideration, you learn that when you're on a job, but it's like, as you get comfortable with the job, you don't really want to do it. You don't want to wear your hard hat. You don't want to wear your safety harness. And so some people, from my experience, I've just seen just walking. They can be on top of a bridge and just walking with no kind of safety harness or any PPE, as we call it, personal protective equipment, on, in order to secure their life. And so that's kind of a big thing. As far as communication, there's examples in my article here that I'll show that a lot of times that even in communication is just a lack of communication or a lack of misunderstanding within a problem. Your supervisor or your boss can tell you something and you kind of registering what's going on, but it's like you perform the task and it's not the way that they want it done. And so the best, as I provide in my paper, to go about that, if you're not really sure on how to do that, go back to your boss, go back to the person that told you to do the assignment, and make sure that you get a clear understanding of what's going on. Never go to the person, the second-hand person. Always validate, what's being told by the person who's telling it directly. You don't want to get your information from somebody else, because there could be miscommunication within it. So always go to the person to make sure that that's exactly what they want, and that you're actually doing it right. You can't skip steps. That's another thing within communication. Somebody can tell you to do something and they tell you how to do it, but you can't skip steps, because in engineering is very precise and accurate as is. Skipping steps, that could be a downfall. And for building a bridge, you can skip a step, and that one little step can cause the bridge to fracture and eventually come down. So you don't never want to skip steps. Other accidents include, I talked about the falls, but you have electricity type issues. You have bad weather conditions, or they call natural causes. Extreme weather conditions, as far as like the too hot or too cold. Sometimes you just can't work in those conditions, and if you are working those conditions, you need to know that you need to drink water. We have safety meetings every morning to ensure that everybody knows what they need to do during each condition, weather condition. So as an engineer, or anybody on the job site for that matter, needs to know that they need to take their time in order to perform their task. like I said, there's a lot that goes on into this. But we should all know that it's a very important issue. We don't understand how important it is because, we may have that new technology in our hands. We may have that highway that we're driving on, and we feel safe and secure. But we don't understand that the background behind it of the people. We don't think about the people who actually lost their lives if they lost their lives during this. If somebody got hurt. By dropping a hammer or something on them, or not being safe, and not watching the excavators coming back. We don't really think about that. All we're doing is enjoying what we have, but we don't think about, man, I wonder what it took in order to get to this process. And so, like I said, it's an interdisciplinary problem because you would think that over the time that the numbers would decrease in accidents and deaths, but that hasn't really been the case. It's only declined a little bit, obviously, because you can only get smarter. Over history, you don't want history repeating itself. So we kind of do a lot of research and study, and this structure or anything didn't work. This piece of tech didn't work. How can we better it? And so you learn on that aspect on bettering it, but at the same time, you still have people who don't really pay attention to the fine details, and they kind of repeat history and allow things bad to happen. And then another thing is the near deaths. We call it warning signs. Something may fall or something that you're doing wrong. You may slip, and it's like, oh man, I need to be wearing my proper PPE during this time. And then you don't do it. You keep doing the same thing. Well, you don't never want to do that. I mean, those near-death experiences, you need to understand, okay, I got lucky this time. Now let me actually get my head back into the game and do what I'm supposed to do in order to carry out. There was a lot of research that went into this, not just into this paper, but into the field itself. They're still trying to figure out ways on how to make this a safety issue. They're constantly coming out with new and innovative ways with new technology, in order to help improve the amount of accidents that's going on today. And so, as I explained, I use Repco's 10-step process to break down the accidents in engineering using these 3 disciplines, and I try to do so in a detail-oriented way. And I hope that anyone who reads it, they can understand what to do and what not to do. The whole way through, I try to explain. I give the problem, and I give examples, and I give the research behind this, and hopefully by the end of the paper, that whoever reads it, they can understand. Okay, this is the problem. These are the mistakes that people made. Now I know what not to do in order to make those same mistakes. I hope you enjoy, and I hope whoever's taking this class that you have a great success. And all I can say is good luck in the future from here out. Thank you.